So here is that is a description in the context of this question about sickness of what is called personal selflessness. Aurora came and asked me about that earlier today, and that's a very key point. Selflessness of the persona. Persona in Latin means a mask, by the way, in case you didn't remember your Latin from grade school. And so personality is sort of like one's habitual sort of identity that I think I'm like connecting with the face in a way. It does connect sort of with one's sense of one's face. And so there's an experience when you look for in yourself your personality. Like, where's the root of my personality? Do I have a code? Like, you have an ID card, right? Gets you in and out of certain buildings on Columbia campus. And it has like a barcode on it, and that clicks something in a computer, right? Well, is there a barcode somewhere in you that is your identity? And I don't think anybody would agree that there was. Maybe some neuroscientists think they're going to find a barcode planted on a neuron in the hippocampus or someplace. Maybe they have a dream like that. But basically, they know that that's not the case, because these different things can, it's very plastic. The neuroplasticity, has been discovered. And so anatomically, we can immediately sense that in modern times thanks to our analytical sciences. But still, we may feel that there's some unchanging thing that's our own identity inside ourselves. We do, and we do, right? And we feel like what happened to me yesterday and now, there's some point of continuity in there that's an unchanging Bob Thurman that is still there, that doesn't change. I feel that's there. If I make a concerted effort to look for it, and as I mentioned to Aurora got me thinking ahead of time, if you meditating on selflessness, it doesn't mean you meditate on selflessness. It means you look for yourself. You try to find, first of all, you acknowledge that you feel that there's something fixed in you that's your identity. An identity, Latin idem means the same. Titi means abstract suffix, right? So sameness, not unchangingness. So we have a sense of identity. And so meditation on identitylessness or selflessness means looking for yourself. So when you do it, the first step in meditating on selflessness is trying to imagine what yourself is. And then they have a special thing, a key thing, all these instructions of meditation, where what you do is you remember some time when some roommate of yours or some friend or some relative or some sweetheart or whatever accused you of something when you were innocent. Can you remember an event like that? It could be just a traffic cop gave you a ticket that you didn't deserve, or it could be anything like that, but something when you're innocent and someone accuses you falsely. Then if you can remember that very strongly, that's what one meditates on. And then meditating on it, you meditate it like a method actor would do, where you sort of don't really, your main part of your attention is not on the one who's trying to remember the memory, but you try to get back into the memory and how you felt. So you're remembering a portion of your awareness, you sort of keep that quiet. And you really try to get into remembering how you felt in that situation. When you do that, you will feel this thing of like, I did not do that. How could they think I did that? Why did they give me that ticket? I didn't park like that. And the I, you will observe that the I seems to come from a deep gut place, which seems like the real thing. I mean, there's something real there, that's you. And you can get a very strong feeling about that. And actually, they say you should meditate on that if you want to have a successful meditation on selflessness. You meditate on that long enough to where if you stop to think about it, you say, well, that's nice, Buddha, you said selflessness. Or some other people, the Hindus also say it in a little bit different way. They have something called neti, not iti, which means no, no, no. And critiquing different things that seem to be the personality, the self, and going deeper and deeper inside oneself. But you say, well, you can say selflessness, Mr. Buddha, but in fact, I don't agree. I think I'm here. On the gut level, I do. Maybe I can intellectually say, well, yeah, I'm made of atoms, and I'm a real good, modern science, and there's no fixed homunculus, there's no fixed Bob Thurman inside sitting in my heart center or my brain or something. I can say that sort of thing. But I feel I'm really here. That's no question about it. So I'm not really, I realize that, and I realize I give you enough credit as a psychologist, as a scientist, as an aware person, to know that the people you're talking to feel like that. So therefore, you know that what you're doing to them is not telling them some sort of thing they have to believe in. You're telling them, you're making a challenge to them. And the challenge is, okay, you think you're the real self, the real thing. You think you're the one, a la Neo in the Matrix. You're the one. Well, verify that then. Look for that. Where's that one that you have? And then you take up the challenge, in other words. Then you take up the challenge, you look inside, and then they have that thing that we already looked at. You've seen it in many of the books called the 5 aggregates, and I think I already listed them. Right? The material processes, the sensational processes, the sensory processes, the conceptual processes, the emotional processes, and the consciousness processes. So that's like a heuristic blueprint of the mind-body complex. Mostly mind, and the body is just 1 out of 5. And you look, so you anatomize your mind and body, and then you look for where's the real Bob Thurman in there? Where's that real Bob Thurman? I mean, I know the outer thing changes, you get older, things change, your looks change, everything changes. But where's the real one that had never changed? That I feel that I have this kind of ingrained intuitive feeling is there. Where is it? And looking in those 5 things, and then they say, of course they say, well, if you do find it, let us know. But if you fail to find it, then you have to cope with that failure. And actually, the coping with that failure is therefore the experience of selflessness. In other words, sort of sustaining the failure. I didn't find it here, I didn't find it there. When you look for something, like you're looking for something in this room, that you know what you're looking for, right? Then you look and look and look and look, and in all the places where it might be, under the conditions where you might perceive it or encounter it, and you don't find it. There's sort of never a moment which is the ultimate not finding. And sometimes we compulsively look again and again for something we're really missing. And because negation, as a kind of cognition, a failure to find an object rather than finding an object and feeling conceptually we have a hold of it. Failing to find an object is a kind of open-ended thing. It isn't quite as neat. Closure, it is not as neat as in a positive thing like there's a recorder, which is just really a superficial thing because my word recorder fits over that kind of a mechanism. I recognize it. That's a zoom. Yes, there. So therefore, it's kind of complicated, the process of failing to find the self, which is called the realization of selflessness.